The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Ralph. This is Randy Lerch, and welcome to my show, God's Miracle. I call the show God's Miracle because after years of drug and alcohol abuse and being diagnosed with cirrhosis, God has given me a second chance in life to write a book called God in the Bullpen and be able to have this podcast thanks to Ralph Tycho. My special guest today is former Major League Baseball player Fernando Vina. Fernando played 12 years in the major leagues with the Mariners, Mets, Brewers, Cardinals, and Tigers. He is a two-time Gold Glove winner at second base, an all-star, and now a member of the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame. Welcome to the show, my friend, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Randy, for having me, bud. It's always nice to chat with another baseball player. Obviously, it's a fraternity for me and you, and to have a close tie with you and be able to talk baseball and talk life is what it's all about, thank God.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm really honored to have you here. I love being around the infielders where you guys could pick it. Hey, to start things off, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in the Sacramento area?
For myself, Randy, it was my parents. My parents are from Cuba, and in 1968, after a few tries that my parents tried to get out of the communist country of Cuba, who people familiar with it know it's just a tough situation, and Fidel Castro has been a bad guy to all the people that live in Cuba and are Cubans, and people took chances and tried to leave on boats and tried to get to Florida in those years and all the way up to a few years back just to try to have a better life for their family and for their kids, and that's what my parents did. I have an older brother named George who's 6 years older than me, so he's 56, and I have an older sister named Anna who's 55, 54, I think it is, and they came over with my parents on a boat, and my mom was pregnant with me in 1968, and they were able to get, after the third try, a couple tries before, my dad got caught trying to leave the country of Cuba, and when they catch you doing things like that, they put you in prison, or they put my dad in working in a sugar cane field, and he worked for free for months at a time, and they wouldn't let him go home and kind of penalized him that way. But he took a chance, and thank God my parents were able to make it, and life started in Miami and Key West, Florida in the beginning. And fortunately, my uncle, my dad's brother, was able to leave Cuba a few years prior, and he was able to settle in Sacramento, California, and had a job at a lumber mill. So my dad had a connection, obviously, to follow his brother, and that's what brought us to Sacramento. My dad was able to get a job there at the lumber mill, and they were on welfare for a couple months to get everybody going, the kids and stuff, but they were able to get off welfare pretty quick, and my dad worked his tail off, and my mom, and gave us a chance. It gave us an opportunity and an ability to dream and to dream big, and boy, it was I'm very thankful, and I'm thankful for what my parents, their courage, and what they did for me and my brother and sister, and to give us an opportunity. So that was kind of where it started, and that's how we ended up in Sacramento, California, and that's where things started for me as a baseball player and as a dream, as a little guy. I wanted to be the best that I could, and thank God things worked out for me on the baseball field.
Holy cow! What an unbelievable, inspirational story, and a great example of a dad. I mean, I can't imagine what he did for you guys, and the great love he showed for his family. We're sure happy to have you here. I remember you talking about coming from Cuba. I got the great opportunity to play with Tony Taylor. Tony Taylor is one of the outstanding infielders that I'm sure you've heard of, and also Tony Taylor was a great example for us young kids coming up and making the major leagues for the first time. And one thing that Tony Taylor did is, like you're saying, he was so happy to be in the United States of America and get away from that horrible place he was living in Cuba, that if the American players didn't take seriously when they stood for the national anthem by standing up straight, taking their hats off, even put their hands over their hearts, because he appreciated being here so much that he would give you a dirty look during the anthem, or he would actually elbow you if he's standing next to you, because he was so thankful to be here. And I wish a lot of the kids would take that example. I mean, they're getting away from being able to say the national anthem and prayer in schools and stuff like that. And you and Tony are a great example of that, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have to really respect and be grateful for the United States, not only for giving my parents and other Cubans a chance, because it's definitely that regime there in Cuba takes everything from you, and they don't give you a life, and, food is rationed. There's barely any medication, and it's just a tough life. And for the United States to open their arms and give Cuban people and athletes a chance is, something to be grateful for. So I always respect the national anthem. I put my hand on my heart and, thank God throughout the whole national anthem and listen to it proudly. And that's what I try to obviously teach kids these days also, to be grateful, to be, appreciative, and to, always give back and try to keep going and not look back and stay positive, move forward and not look back at any of the negative things in life that we all go through, the roads we all go down. We all have a ton of adversity, and I truly just love to share the knowledge that I was able to gain throughout my major league career for these kids and for people in general, just to inspire them, give them a little hope, and keep them grinding and plugging along in this world, because we all need that, and that's what I'm appreciative, and God gave me that platform to be able to talk to kids and be able to talk to adults and inspire them and keep them moving in the right direction. And you never know who you might touch, and it can go a long ways. Not only on the baseball field, you teach them different things that are mandatory to be a great baseball player, but those things obviously relate to things in life and kind of keep them going. So I'm very appreciative to be able to have the opportunity to have the chance to play professional baseball.
Wow, I'm appreciative of having you on the show, my friend. You're a great example, and it's amazing. I was thinking before the show, and you and I have grown. We've grown quickly to have a close relationship, and I can tell the reason that I drew to you, because I remember when we do, to tell the listeners, Major League Baseball and Alumni Association does a clinic throughout the country and parts of the world, and they major leaguers go to these clinics to teach baseball to the kids and try to give a good example of how of sportsmanship, how you should act, how you should treat your mom and dad, with respect and stuff like that. And I remember the first time I saw you at one of those clinics, the enthusiasm you had. I mean, you took all the kids, you being a great infielder that you were, you took the kids out to the shortstop area where they broke us up. I would go with the pitchers, and, different position players would go with their position. And I remember that you were out there, and I mean, the kids were just drawn to you. You had the enthusiasm, and, that kind of stuff you can't fake. You go out there, and you made every kid out there feel like they were the only one, that when you were throwing a ground ball to them and you were taking time with them to show them, the best way to the best position to field the ball or throw it, it was obvious to me how much you loved those kids, and I wanted to be a part of that, and I remember walking out a bit, after we got to know each other, right away, Fernando, Lerch, it was that camaraderie that we had, that the ball players have, and it kind of brought back memories. So I know you love working with the kids out there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's something, like you said, Randy. I love it, and I appreciate the Major League Baseball Alumni Association and Chevy that puts it on around the country, and they do different camps. I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of those camps throughout the country. We also, last year, I was able to go to Hawaii, and we did those same baseball camps and clinics on all the 4 different islands for the underprivileged kids. And like you said, Randy, I just love helping the kids. I love putting a smile on their face, and I love just kind of sharing the knowledge and things that I've learned throughout my career and in life. I love to give back to them, and I like to make them feel good about themselves, because that's what it's all about. It's those kids growing up, feeling good about themselves and trying hard, and on top of that, we have fun. So I'm very appreciative to the Alumni Association of Major League Baseball that put those things on for us to come together, and obviously I met you there at the clinics, and I could feel the vibe and the connection with you really, really quick, because you have that same fire also, Randy, and we have that fraternity that we're together as former ball players, and we love life, and we love to give back, and we love to appreciate the world and the kids. So I felt that also. So I love the way you go about your business also. And that's something that I just take a lot of pride in, because that's what it's all about, to inspire kids, to inspire adults, or to inspire anybody that I can day in, day out to kind of keep going and to keep plugging. And we all need a little push and a pat on the back sometimes to kind of keep grinding. So I'm appreciative of all that.
That's great. That's great that's a great example and great to know, my friend. You weren't only just a great infielder after winning 2 Gold Gloves, but man, you could hit. I mean, you hit 282, and on a 12-year major league career, and so you weren't just you could run, you could steal a base, you could hit. You were an offensive force for all those years, and that takes a lot to be someone that can be like a 5-tool player. I mean, you hit 40 home runs or something like that, and I tell my grandson Tyler, he's not real big in stature, but he sure has a lot of heart. And I remind him that every time he worries about not being very big, I said, look at that guy Fernando Vina over there. And for all the kids that are listening in, you can make up for a lot by really a hard work and a lot of heart. And you're a great example of that, my friend.
Thank you, Randy. I really take pride in that. I think the heart that my mom and dad inspired me with early on in life, from what they went through to get me to have a chance. I think that's embodied in all over me and all over my mind. And early on, I wasn't as big as some of the other kids, but my fire and my heart and the chip I had not only on one shoulder but on both shoulders to prove that I could make it and be somebody, be a force. Maybe I didn't know I'd make it to the major leagues and do pretty well, but I thought I would have a chance. And I think the fire inside of me, and there were a few scouts early on that told me and said that they didn't think I could make it because I wasn't strong enough or big enough or those type of deals, that we all hear kind of coming up sometimes, that they didn't believe in me, but that fired me up even more so. And like I said, I had a chip on both shoulders to prove that, hey, it doesn't matter your stature, like you said, Randy, but it's the heart and the fire and the things that we can control, our energy and our effort. And I really went hard with both of those criteria. I went with a lot of energy, a high energy guy, and I always gave grade A, top-notch effort. And I think when you can do those things as kids growing up these days, regardless of your size, regardless of what someone says or doesn't believe in you, scouting reports or what people think of you are changed daily. So that's the beauty of it. As a kid, you can always go hard. You could go, give it your best effort, give all the energy you can, and you can change people's thoughts and minds, and you can become a player or obviously a great person in this world, because you can always go and be a team player and go after it with all your might. And that's what I did, and that's what I try to inspire kids these days to do.
Well, you are an inspiration, and to my grandson too. I just keep pointing you out, and I can tell you by being an starting pitcher, you middle infielders, you guys, I'm kind of in awe of you guys. But you know what? I can't think of the number of times that you guys pulled me out of a jam. I mean, once I let go of the ball, and it gets to the hitter, and he hits it towards you guys, you're just praying that it goes somewhere near you, because if it does, you guys are going to get it. I mean, you guys' hands are unbelievable, and it's like poetry in motion. And many a time when I turn around and oh no, there's a guy at first and second with an out. Oh no, I've just given up a double, or I've given up a game winning base hit or whatever, and I turn around and you guys are turning a double play, or making a great play, and the middle infielders to this day, Fernando, I'll turn the TV on, watch the baseball game on, and I can't believe the poetry and the quickness of you guys' hands and what you do when you're turning a double play, and the runner, which these guys can fly, are big and strong, are bearing down on you. And even though with the rule changes to not run the guys over, you still are sitting out there in harm's way. Tell me a little bit about what it takes. Do you go out there and you take a million ground balls, which I've seen you guys do, but there has to be a little bit of God and that talent and that hard work involved, isn't there?
Oh yeah, definitely, Randy. I think I wasn't always a great infielder. I was pretty good. I had quick, natural hands, and I think I continued to work from there. That was the base of my infield work. But I tried as a baseball player, and as I kept moving up the ladder, I wanted to be a complete player, and I always tried to work on things that I wasn't good at. I think a lot of kids these days and people want to do things in life that they're good at all the time because it's easy for them. But I think it's very rewarding to do and work on things that you're not good at and get better at them little by little. And not only do they make you a better player, but they make you a better person when you do things that are a little tough in life. And you're rewarded so greatly because you go after that road, that tough road that makes it, harder to go down, but you're going to be a lot better at the end. And I think that's what I always strive to do as a baseball player. As an infielder, I worked on things that I wasn't as good at, and I tried to become better at it. I think with that mentality, and when you give it your best energy and the best effort you possibly can, you're going to get better. That's just the bottom line. And I learned that. I love the great Bert Campaneris, a fellow Cuban, Minnie Minosa, these guys that played hard and gave it their best effort. Omar Vizquel was huge, helped with me and my game. Roberto Alomar helped me a ton. Sam Perlazo was a coach that taught me so much as an infielder, and I told these guys' names out because they were very special to me and helped mold me and give me a chance and help me learn and teach me the right way of going about as an infielder, about going around the bag and just little tips that make you so much better. The late, great, God bless him, George Kissel, he was such an inspiring person for me as an infielder. He would hit me 50, 60 ground balls every day, and he had the ability, the canny ability to be able to hit the different type of ground balls that would come off a bat in a real game. He could put backspin on it. He would put topspin on it. He would hit you a knuckleball. He could do all these things with the fungo. He was great. He was a great coach and a great teacher. He had a great heart, George Kissel. We miss him. He passed away. But he was so much help for me. And when you work like that, day in, day out, and you take extra ground balls, you become better. And when I started to trust it, and I started to really track the ball into my glove, and that's what George Kissel really stressed with me, is to, follow that ball into your glove all the way, over-exaggerate it. Really track balls into your glove, even when you're hitting, same way. Track that ball into the bat when it makes contact, and keep your eyes on that ball for a second or two after you catching the ball or you hitting the ball, and that makes you so much better to stay on the ball. When I started doing that, I learned that. I became a Gold Glove second baseman. So I appreciate all these guys that motivated me, gave me these tips to become a better infielder. I think when you work and you give it your best effort, when you got guys like this around you, like you know, Randy, you get people around you that give you these tips that help you on the field and in life. I mean, it makes it so much easier.
That is unbelievable. That's great advice. I hope a lot of our listeners and you know, the people that love the game, that would love to play the infield and have dreams of moving up higher, whether it be college or whatever, you know, coming from you, one of the best second basemen that, in my opinion, ever played. And that's great advice. I know, I don't know if you listened to it, Fernando, to the alumni, they call it the clubhouse or whatever. I've got to get re-plugged into that, but I know that a lot of the players, the guys that had retired, the old-timers like myself, I can't call you an old-timer yet. You know, you're still too close. You haven't been gone long enough, but as far as I'm concerned, a lot of the guys get together and they talk about, oh, my goodness, you know, what are they doing with the game? You know, the game has changed. You know, the games are a lot longer. I don't know, I talked about last week how Jim Codd and Randy Jones pitched a game that was a little over an hour and a half, and now I think an average game is around 4 hours. If you had a magic wand, what would you do to change the game? Now, the game now.
I think these days, Randy, there's a lot of analytical guys that are running the front offices now that, you know, they're big on launch angles as hitters, and they want to hit that long ball, and they want the whole batting order and lineup to hit the same way, you know. And if I could change it, I would remove that headline about launch angle and let's hit home runs, and it doesn't matter if we strike out 120 times a year, things of that nature. I mean, I'm a big believer that you have to stay inside the ball, that you have to put the ball in play, and home runs will come. If you're a power guy, home runs will come. And you have to play station to station, too, also. I think if you look at the playoffs every year, Randy, the teams that do not strike out and that play small ball and, you know, and make a great emphasis on getting and having base runners go from first to third or getting a man over from second to third with less than 2 outs, you know, players like that, that's winning baseball, and I think we've gotten away from that a little bit because these, you know, they've introduced a different term, a launch angle type that you can swing up on the ball, and I believe that's wrong. I mean, I think you got to stay inside the ball. You have to, you know, hit the ball where it's pitched, go the other way, and also take pride in, you know, I think a lot of the game has forgot about base running. I mean, take pride on running the bases. I mean, work on it. You know, cut those corners on the bag with those angles. Make the best angle you can possibly can as a base runner, and I think that'll help your team win games. And I think we've seen that every year in the playoffs. The teams that do not strike out, the teams that put the ball in play, and the teams that really go hard on the base pass are the teams that end up winning the World Series, you know, 9 times out of 10. So that's the type of game that I would, you know, try to really emphasize as kids growing up, and if I could change something, that would be more of the talk that I would have in the game we have today.
I agree with you. I remember going back and you know, Mike Schmidt, Mike Schmidt was somebody that he used to hit down through the ball. He would never uppercut, and I just mess around every now and then and think about, you know, I always tried to think of if I could make a level swing or hit down through the ball. And Mike Schmidt was somebody that if he hit the ball, he would hit down through it, and he would make the ball have such a backspin that you thought the ball was just going to go to the outfielder, and you'd turn around and it just kept going and going and going, and you know, that's how he ended up having over 500 home runs. And you just see the guys nowadays they'll actually use bats that are 28 inch and 28 ounces, where the old bats were, I think, you know, a 30-ounce bat and then probably a 34-inch would be something in the realm of, you know, normal. But you're right. it's all about it's all about the 3-point play and the home runs, right, buddy? But
exactly.
I have you. I'm sorry to interrupt. Not too many of the listeners probably know that you were, after your career went into, you were an ESPN analyst. How did you like doing that?
After I was done playing, I got out of the game because of my hip, and I was done playing. I started doing some TV work for the St. Louis Cardinals for Fox Midwest in St. Louis, and I was able to, do pre and post game and do some interviews with guys and things of that nature. And ESPN was able to see me there, and they asked me if I was, interested in coming along and being an analyst for Baseball Tonight, which was a big show on ESPN. And I definitely did, and I was able to do that for 3 years in Bristol, Connecticut, and I was able to learn a different, obviously, occupation and to get better at it. I mean, it's not easy when you're, that red light comes on and you only have a certain amount of seconds or a minute to get the facts out and tell people the why and the what and why something was done or give them the best advice you can. So it makes it tough, but you learn as you go, and that was something I was able to get involved with, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was tough, flying from the West Coast to East Coast every other week. But as a whole, I was grateful for the opportunity, and I was able to learn a new side of the game from analyzing and giving the updates on different plays, web gems, and different things. So I was grateful for that job, and that's how I got started on it.
Well, you're good. You're definitely good on the radio, my friend. And so we're getting towards the end. But could you tell everyone what you're doing now? I mean, you're just you're a great ambassador for the game, that's for sure.
These days, just like we talked about, Randy, working with kids, I do a lot of camps for Major League Baseball Alumni Association, and try to work with as many kids as I possibly can throughout the year. This year has been a little tough for me. I had my hip surgery, my hip had been bothering me since the end of my career, but I kind of pushed it off as long as I could, and I was in big-time pain, but I kept pushing and grinding. As you would know, Randy, the bumps and bruises of the game and things that come on, I was able to get my hip fixed, and I'm back, I'm 3 months out now from that, and I'm getting stronger and better, and I plan to continue to help the kids and work the camps and try to keep moving in that direction always to be the best inspiration I can to help kids and help adults or help any human being possible in life that sometimes needs a little push in the back and, inspire them a little bit, which I'm very grateful for that I have a platform because I did play and can give people my opinions and help them with some knowledge. So that's what I do now. My dad is sick, and I take care of him throughout the weeks, try to keep him going. He's got cancer, but we're praying that he can keep grinding. He's a tough cookie, as you know our story, Randy, and he keeps plugging, and so does my great mom, Olga. And that's about it. I kind of keep going, and this time of year, I got a little bit bigger smile on my face because, like you know, Randy, it's spring training time and baseball time, so that's the great time of year, so I'm excited.
I love it. So to end things up, my friend, we talked about it a little bit, but if the kids that are listening right now, and I know that I talked about it a little bit at our Hall of Fame ceremony that I used to dream about being a major leaguer, but if not everybody has to be a major leaguer, to just love the game of baseball or want to move up and maybe play college or whatever God gives us, how far we go. What would you say to a kid that has the dreams of playing in the major league someday?
I would say to continue to always follow your dreams and to dream big. When you're in bed at night before you say your prayers, pray and dream about who you want to be and who you want to become and who you're going to follow, and inspire to be the best you can be. I think those dreams will come true, if you give the effort and you have the energy. And like you said, Randy, not everybody's going to be a Major League Baseball player, which is fine, but you can be a Major League person in life. And whatever occupation or whatever route you go, you can really go at it with the chip on your shoulder and be the best, whether you're working at McDonald's, whether you're, you know, a lawyer, a doctor, whatever it might be in life, you know, go at it. Be the best that you can at whatever job you have, you know, and that will inspire people around you regardless of your occupation or where you're at in life. And I think work on things that you're not good at. Become a better person on different avenues in life and different things and whatever job you might have. But I just say be the best. I mean, go for it and really not look back. Always look forward of how good you can be and how much better you can be for whatever job or career as a baseball player or whatever it might be, and don't let anything ever stop you, and continue to appreciate and tell your parents how much you love them and be grateful to God and keep going forward.
Well, I can tell you, you are a great example of what a human being should be, and I'm honored to call you friend, and I want to thank you for being on my show today, buddy.
Thank you so much, Randy, for thinking about me and having me on with you. I'm very appreciative and grateful, and anytime we can talk sports and life, I'm for it, and I appreciate your friendship, buddy.
We'll talk soon, Fernando. Take care, bud.
Take care. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for listening today to God's Miracle, and thanks to my special guest, Fernando Vina, for being here today. You've been listening to the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. This is Randy Lerch saying bye-bye.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned Network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.